Yeah? Very good.
Today he was just standing there. I mean, he picked Germany over Turkey, right? He picked Germany over Turkey.
Oh, she's the
Welcome to ShoreTel Converged Conferencing. Enter an access code, then press pound. To cancel, press star. You're the only person in this conference. Please stay on the line. To turn off the music, press 1.
Developments in the Middle East, in many ways, this Torch of Life initiative becomes much more relevant and timely. So, George, this is your time to put it into context for us.
Thank you, Julia, and I want to thank you and everyone else for organizing this meeting. Recently, Step by Step completed its 8th campaign. We arranged a 110-day marathon journey through 72 cities and towns in Ontario. And with our torchbearer, Khalid Khatib, a 20-year-old Palestinian boy who's here on a 2-year visa right now with us. And his story is very compelling. In 2005, he was 13 at the time. His 11-year-old brother was accidentally shot by an IDF soldier, and the family afterwards donated his organs to 7 Israeli children. 5 of them are alive today. One of the Israeli children that received his organs was actually an Orthodox Jewish, and there was many things that were done as a result of this, including some films, and the father is presently on kind of a world tour, being an ambassador for organ and tissue donation, and the 20-year-old son is with us here in Canada, and he just finished this incredible 110-day journey in Ontario with a lot of great responses throughout the journey.
Wonderful. So, are you still on? Yeah. Yep, hello? Yeah, hello. George?
Yeah, I'm still here. So, did you want me to talk about our plans, hopefully our plans for New York?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. On October 28th, what we're hoping will happen, and it's already confirmed on our end, our Toronto police, which we work with quite extensively for the past 10 years, are going to be arriving with the Truck of Life and the Torch of Life to Buffalo at the Peace Bridge, where we're going to organize to have the Buffalo police meet the Toronto police at the Peace Bridge, and our Toronto police will pass the torch to the Buffalo police. We've done this before very successfully, and we'll have a short press conference afterwards, and then the torch and the Truck of Life will continue making its way to New York City, where we'll do the same with the New York City police that evening. And then the next day, what we're hoping is that we can have Khalid and Mr. Reg Green to carry the torch from what we were looking at, and this can change, of course, was doing a torch trek from Times Square to Morgan Stanley Hospital, and we were hoping that we can have to carry the torch for some child that's in need of a transplant. We've done this in the past very successfully, and hopefully we can put a face more than numbers to this. And our goal and our aim is to help the New York State Registry to hopefully encourage more registration through this type of campaign.
Proposal is basically to start the 28th?
On the 29th, Julia.
The 29th in upstate New York, or the 29th?
Oh, no, sorry. We're leaving from Toronto on the 28th. And then we're meeting with both Buffalo Police and New York Police that day. And then the next day, October 29th, that's where we're hoping to launch the torch trek. It would be a Monday, correct.
And the route, are you walking out from the east or west side? Or?
I don't have all the logistics for the exact route, because I really wanted to consult with Julia and everybody here for your input to see what would work the best. Our suggestion was from Times Square, and then what we usually do is consult with the local police to ask them of their advice, because some streets might be under construction, and then ask them what would be the best streets to take to make it to Morgan Stanley. And starting from Times Square is just a suggestion. We just figure that that's one of the hearts of New York City, and so the more exposure, the better, sort of thing.
Now, Times Square to Morgan Stanley is quite a trek.
I was going to say that, and yeah, the one concern I would have is if a kid's going to need a transplant. I don't think that's trekkable, is it? I mean,
no, it's a very long. I mean, Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital is on 165th, correct?
Right, 168. So you're talking about 130 something blocks.
It's a little over 6 miles.
Right. So I think the route needs to be rethought.
Yeah, I can.
Yes, you could do something at Times Square depending on, what that is.
What I was going to suggest, sorry, Julia, was that Reg and College can start at possibly at that designated point at Times Square, and then at a convenient place close to the hospital, where it would probably just be a short trek to the hospital, we can have that child waiting to receive the torch from Reg and College, and bring it to Morgan Stanley after.
No, George, 6 miles is too much, I think.
Okay. Well, we were open to hear any other suggestions where we could start the route or start the walk.
But I think if I can interrupt you a second, George, basically the key thing here is that you want to do a walk towards the hospital at a designated point, and then in the hospital, what do you want happening?
We hope a press conference could be arranged where guests would be invited, and that would be guests from your selections to speak to organ and tissue donations and registration in New York State, and with the possible thoughts of probably inviting some dignitaries and politicians as well.
Let me interrupt a second, Mrs. Reg. George asked me to do something very similar in Toronto. It worked wonderfully. We walked not 6 miles, but a reasonable distance, carrying the torch. And then at a children's hospital, we met a very well-known Canadian transplant surgeon, and the press was there at that time. It was very well reported, and of course, everybody said, everybody talked about the uniqueness of the situation. I mean, here we have a Palestinian family who donated to Israelis, and then there's our story, which is my 7-year-old son was shot in Italy. And we donated to Italians, 4 of them, teenagers. So there was a great deal of newsworthy information there. It takes a bit of doing to do all this, but I can assure you that it is both doable and very successful if the pieces come together.
Now, you don't have the brother of the donor, do you?
The brother of the donor?
The family that donated, the Palestinian family that donated is not available for this. Is that correct?
Yes. This is the 20-year-old boy that George talked about is the brother of the boy who was shot.
Okay, so that person is. So who is the recipient? Is not. Because there was an Israeli and Palestinian walking together, right?
No. At the end of Collett's tour on June 19th in Toronto, greeting him at our Toronto City Hall was 20-year-old Yael Gladstone, a Jewish girl whose brother was killed in Tel Aviv, Israel, by a suicide bomber, and the family did something similar. The kidney went to a Palestinian girl. So both Yael and Khaled, Palestinian and Jewish, carried the torch, which was blessed by Pope John Paul II, to the finish line through the heart of Toronto. So
and everybody covered, huh?
yeah, pretty much.
This is like a Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And it was just a moment.
George, there's no, none of the donors is there, of course. I mean, none of the recipients.
The recipients are not present.
No.
Okay. All right. So the question
George, have you arranged for a Jewish representation there?
Well, we have Ari Reif, who was one of the most famous decorated soldiers in Israel, and also consul general from Israel to Canada, and presently living in Canada. He has been with us and has been well spoken about this situation with organ donations, and then as well, there could be a possibility that we can, if it was agreed, that we can possibly ask the mother of the Jewish boy that was killed to join us, possibly by Skype, to say a few words, and that's just a suggestion. So, and then we would also be looking to find possibly other representatives in the Jewish community from New York. There could be a possibility that we can get one of our rabbis here to Toronto to accompany us as well. So that would be part of our pursuit, is to get, besides Ari being there, to get other Jewish representatives there as well.
And we can certainly approach the Public Relations Council, the Jewish Public Relations Council, as well as HODS, the Halachic Organ Donor Society. I've mentioned it to both. The question for them is whether the New York Organ Donor Network and New York Presbyterian Hospital are on board on this. And I guess part of the questions that I have, and I think George has been, approaching this and talking to us for quite a while, since June, and even before, I think, is, how can we make this successful in order to make sure the press is there, and obviously providing some guidance in terms of, if you're going to do a walk, what that walk should look like and where, and then, of course, what is the expectation of the hospital. It sounds like, at least from what I'm hearing, you're looking at, obviously, that the hospital would support the event, that they would give us provide a space and identify patients. Am I correct on this?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Are there any other specific expectations? Because you mentioned having a surgeon there. Stephanie, on a Monday, on the 29th of October, what is the, realistically and practically, the potential for something like this, from your perspective?
I would have to say that timing is everything. It's really going to depend on, what time you anticipate we do it. I think even for press, and Amy, maybe you can clarify that there's certain times of the day to get press to attend are better than other times, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
What are the times? What are the best times?
I think earlier in the day, right, Amy?
Correct. Anything really before, 2 o'clock is best.
Before what?
Before 2 2 o'clock, because a lot of times, you know, see it for TV, they're getting ready for their shows.
Right.
Yeah, in the afternoon. So anything after 3 o'clock is really hard for them to get to.
So we're talking about potentially the timing might be between 10 and 2 p.m., 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Right. And when you say, you know, a transplant surgeon, are you looking for somebody? I mean, certainly we could probably. I'm not necessarily sure we can get. You know, surgeons are in the ORs on Mondays. That's not going to be that easy. But certainly there are several what I would call transplant medicine doctors who might be willing to participate, particularly if it's one of their potential recipients.
I think on that, as it happened in Toronto, this surgeon is very dedicated to publicizing the whole thing, and he liked the idea very much, so he wanted to be there. My own feeling is that that's not necessary. It's just somebody.
They may want to, depending on, you know, we would certainly want to.
But somebody who could authoritatively speak on behalf of the hospital and say organ donation is a good thing.
Well, we have plenty of other advocates here. You know, certainly Dr. Cardings is our favorite advocate. I don't know what his availability might be, but he's a former president of the hospital who really does a lot of support for organ donation, not just at our hospital, but, you know, throughout.
Nationally, he's been one of our champions.
Right, exactly. So, you know, if he's available, that'd be lovely.
Right.
And you know, there may be some other people we can engage.
How many people are you anticipating? This is Nancy from Public Affairs. How many people are you anticipating participating in your work? How many people do you usually have?
I can answer that, George. Another thought or idea that and how we usually do this is we invite school kids to join the torchbearers along the walk. And so that would just be a suggestion. Kids usually add a more energized or, you know, more excited venue to this. So it could be possible. Well, we did work with a New York school when we were there last. So that could be a possibility of having maybe a dozen or what have you kids join the torchbearers as they're walking towards the hospital.
You're seeing the hospital, Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital, as the last stop for the walk. Do you see yourself inside the hospital, or are you planning to close the street?
Well, we would leave that to the hospital and to the organizer or the people that are helping to organize this to see which would work best. The New York police were wonderful the last time we were there, escorting us from point A to B. So they did a fantastic job, and so we would leave it up, I guess, to you guys to figure out which would be the best, to hold it outside or indoors, have a designated place indoors where the press conference could be held.
Well, October is going to be a cold, you know, it's already
cold. I think, yeah, if we're going to do it anywhere, it's going to have to be indoors, because it's too risky to plan an outdoor event in that time, you know, the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
Rain could be cold.
Snow, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It would have to be. George, did you put together like a committee to facilitate and assist in the coordination of that effort, or were you handling it solo? I mean, you know, how did you structure the process?
We do, when we do these campaigns, I'm sort of just the guy to make sure that it happens, but there's a lot of people that are assisting us in making it happen. Public relations people and politicians help us, I would like to think that this would be a joint effort, you know, within all the parties, and with the main goal of helping to increase organ and tissue registration. That would really be what this would be all about. And so in putting these things together, myself and all the people that have worked at Step by Step, we've done thousands of these activities in Canada and the United States. So and we've worked with many groups. So in this case, what we would be hoping is that with the parties involved on the phone now, that you would help with selecting the speakers and the press conference to be or to where the press conference would be held, and basically we would make sure that we have what we call the truck of life. It's an ambulance. It's kind of converted into with pictures and everything about organ donations, and it would follow the torch bearers to the hospital, and then the other thing we usually do is webcast these events live, so people can actually join in through different parts of the world, and hopefully that could encourage registration as well. So, what we're asking, I guess, is to have the hospital and the New York Organ Donation Network join in this effort and help with getting some speakers selected to speak, and we have some contacts with the New York Police Department, so I'm sure we can handle that part of it. But we would also ask the parties here that you help us get the media to show up, and that sort of thing.
Well, it sounds like you may need more than just media, because it sounds like you want a constituency of people walking with the torch bearer.
Yes. That the more people you see walking, the better. So it would be an invitation for.
Around, George, may I interrupt?
Sure.
Having a lot of people in the walk is not essential, is it?
No, it's not essential. No.
We have done it with just me. I mean, I've done one or two of these things with George, who incidentally is a recipient and has been doing these sorts of things for decades, including walking across Canada with the torch. In some cases, there would be just a couple of people, or just anyone else who wants to be there. Passers-by notice the torch and remark on it and so on. But the key to the thing is telling the story, and telling the story is at the press conference. And if a good representation of the press could be invited to that, as I say, it is a rather unique situation. I've done a lot of these things on my own, as Julia referred to, all over the world, and I alone get a lot of attention. Khalid alone gets a lot of attention, but the two of us together increases that. And so my hope would be that the press would see this as a newsworthy item and would come along there. And that, to me, is not only the key to it, but is by far the most important part of it.
Anna, are you there?
Yes.
How many people can the Winter Garden accommodate?
Standing rooms or like reception?
I would say standing room.
Standing room maximum occupancy is 350.
350 is a lot. Do you think that there would be more than 350? I'm not even sure if we would get 350, but it would be great. It's possible.
My other question is can anyone join the walk, or do they have to register somehow? Is there a registration fee, or?
No fees at all. Go ahead, Reg.
Can I
This
ask you a
is not
question?
your
What happens
traditional
after
walk.
this stop? Like,
Pardon?
so they'll do the press conference at Morgan Stanley, and then what happens after that? Does it continue on to other states?
No, that's the event would officially be over at that point. But from our experiences, there's usually a lot of what we call after effects, where possibly the media might be inviting Reg or Khaled to appear maybe on the morning show or later on to do more interviews, or there's usually a after effect where we would continue doing these other media activities afterwards.
Okay, I'm just curious,
When somebody mentioned the meeting room being 350, we've never, I mean, my experience with George or in my own experience, I mean, much less than that. I mean, we're talking about a press conference, I think, and therefore just a small room would seem to me to be quite appropriate.
Sorry, just to, once the agenda would be confirmed, where the walk will start and what time, and then where it'll end at the hospital and what time the press conference, I would urge that invitations be sent to people that are to families that are waiting for organ donations, or other donor families, or people that have received these transplants to join in. Invitations could be sent to them, and I would think that you would find that you might get a considerable amount of people attending as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, we have very large waiting lists. I think we'd want to narrow it down because we do have quite a few people. We have a large number of transplant recipients and a large number of people on our waiting list. So we might, if we're going to do something like that, narrow it down because that could be in the thousands. I hate to say it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right, and I think the more we focus on something like this, the better, and perhaps focusing on the 18 and younger.
Yeah, the children, yeah.
What we found in our experiences is that when we usually put a face to this, like a child and a family that's willing to come out in what we call, help to broadcast the need for their child to receive an organ, it's been always the most effective way to get people to register. And we've done this many times. Recently, it wasn't a child. She was a little bit older, but a 20-year-old Helene Campbell who needed a double lung transplant. We were carrying the torch for her, and she ended up going on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and she received her lung, so Ellen is going to invite her physically to come to her show so they can dance together. I think that was the... but we've had many other children in the past that we've carried the torch, and we found that as a result of that, there was a much more positive response from the public and the media. So if it was possible to have a family with with a child that needs whatever the organ is or transplant is, and to put kind of a face to this, and then the torch would be carried for that particular child, but as a result of carrying it for that child, it's actually being carried for everybody that is waiting on the waiting list.
It would have to be representative, and it's kind of a delicate issue because we have to be very careful both on the transplant side and the donation side that we don't, that we are not perceived as soliciting organs for anyone in particular.
Oh, yes, that's correct. So, it would be how we usually always done it before was that that person or that child or that family that has a child that's waiting, they would be encouraging everybody to register, you know, to help with, I believe how many thousands there is waiting right now in New York State, to help those and possibly the 100 or over 100,000 people that are waiting throughout the states. So that would be the message. But I think by having a face to this, especially a child, I think it would garner more attention and more people to register as a result of seeing this, hearing about it or watching it, or you know. So if the family did,
could you have a recipient, a child's recipient?
Absolutely, we have several children that are recipients. We have a 12-year-old by the name of Lauren Shields, who has been a major force in generating even legislation.
Yeah, she's been, I was actually the first person I thought of, Julia.
Of course, she's our star. Yeah. And we both share her. So it's very appropriate that she, as a matter of fact, I have her right now being interviewed tomorrow by Russian television. They're interviewing with regards to children and donations. So yes, we can have children, and we can announce it to recipients. And I guess the question I have, Stephanie, and you know, this is something that we probably need to kind of sit down and, you know, talk a little bit more offline. But the question is this something that you're prepared to, you know, join us in and collaborate on? So that, because I think we can't do this by ourselves.
Yeah, and that's something I can't answer. You know, I've got to speak to a few people here too.
Of course.
And make sure that we're okay with it.
Yeah.
You know,
because
certainly I'm not the decision maker on something like this, but can bring the message back.
Correct, and we didn't want to make a decision on this in isolation, because it requires, you know, a collaborative effort on both sides. We can certainly begin to look at if there is a walk, depending on whether, you know, what that would look like, and identify space. But as Reg, you know, correctly stated, the key thing is the message and a press conference, and it's bringing all the forces there to one particular location, and presenting it to the media. I mean, there's a hook here, but we really need to give it a little bit more thought, and we don't have too much time.
No, that's the other problem. I was, you know, getting a little nervous about. The timeline is quick for something like this, right? I mean, to line up people and things, right? Yeah.
Well, we basically have, you know, a month and a half, and this month is almost done.
Right.
You know, in terms of planning.
That's what I mean. It's a short, especially when you're trying to get politicians and high-profile people here.
And you have a couple of holidays in between, so.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
So, can I chip in again then? I mean, the politicians are nice to have there, celebrities are nice to have, lots of people joining in are nice to have. But to get back to the nub of it, the press conference is it. And that doesn't require, it seems to me, a lot of time to plan. I've done these things in quite short notice, and the only thing that the press wants is some story that stands out so much that they feel that they have to be there. And maybe they won't think that this is it, but it really is a very powerful story that Khalid has got to tell. I mean,
I agree with you, Reg, if I can just chime in. However, remember that this is not new, because you have been here, well, not you, Reg, but the Torch of Life has been in New York, so it's not a new story to New York. I mean, we're going to have to do some positioning here. I would love to hear more from the PR staff and Maggie, what your thoughts are on this.
When was the last time the Torch was in New York?
It was in New York in 2010, March 2010. And we actually were carrying the torch for baby Quinn, who received a heart transplant around that time. We were carrying it for him through different cities and states. And when we did arrive in New York City, the boy had received his heart transplant, and we actually were able to bring the torch to the young boy, it became such a powerful story. And so that was the last time we were there with the torch, was March 2010.
And what kind of, this is Maggie from the PR firm that helps out with Organ Donor Network, what kind of media did that garner here in New York at the time? Was it, do you have actual media at the hospital or more after, like you were saying?
Well, in New York City, we unfortunately didn't get that much media, but in other cities and towns we did, like Pittsburgh, New Haven, Philadelphia. We were getting a lot of media attention, but for some reason we couldn't. We didn't get. I guess we didn't get the work. We did it on very short notice, and we didn't prepare the media about this in New York City. So that was, probably the reason why the media didn't come out as much as we thought. There was a few media outlets there, but not what we were hoping for.
Right.
But Khalid and and his family have not been to New York. In fact, I don't think they've been to the States, have they, George?
No, they haven't. So this would be sort of his first time, and it would probably his story has wide appeal through most parts of the world. But his story still needs to get introduced in the United States. Canada has embraced this boy, and we feel Americans will do the same when he comes to the States.
Very good. And just one more question on that then. Is it, so do you envision like the media moment, or, aside from just like a straight press conference, actually handing the torch to someone in the hospital? Is that possible, or did you bring the child out, or what does that look like?
Yeah, if I may add to that, what we were hoping is that both torchbearers, Reg and Khalid, would be arriving just outside the hospital, where we might have some children that are waiting for transplants if they're well enough to receive the torch from them. I think that would be the climatic moment, and then following that we would hold the press conference inside the building, if that sort of makes any sense.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. So I guess what we have to do here is, Julia, what I'll probably have to do is circle back to hospital leadership to get a heads up from them that they're supportive.
Right.
And I guess I'll also touch base. Amy, maybe we can spend a little time with Brian. I know he was unable to make the call.
Yes.
But I think we should talk with him as well.
Yeah, I've given Brian, he and I have been talking for a while, and I've been giving him the information.
I know. But I just, and then, we can follow up. But, the main thing is going to be somebody's going to have to take a project lead on this, because there's lots of moving parts. So I just want to make sure that, everybody is very clear on, who's going to be doing what on this.
Agreed.
And that's kind of where we kind of trip on each other all the time. But let's make sure that we're all, clear on, this is going to be the NYP responsibility, this is going to be the donor network's responsibility, and this is going to be the organization's area. And make sure everybody is very clear on that.
Can I add something maybe like on concluding parts? If it was possible for for me to work with Julia on the logistics as far as where the torch should start. What is the best place where it's going to be just, just the right distance to start, and then with the time of when it's going to start, and then to have the hospital people to kind of take the initiative to arrange the press conference and possibly provide some children or some families there that could have their kids or the families receive the torch. I think if that makes any sense, then we can get the agenda confirmed, like what time it starts, what time the finishes with the press conference, and then once we have that, then inviting other speakers, we would ask again the hospital and Julia to round up the speakers who they thought would be the best to be at this event.
Okay. Well, I think Stephanie, once you meet with Brian, we may need to have another conversation.
Right.
And then figure out. I think we're going to do this together. With some clear understanding, because even though NYPD is always ready to assist, we got to make sure that they're in the fold with very specifics. And in terms of the media, we have to figure out how best to conceptualize, frame, and basically pitch this story.
Right.
If it's going to have some legs and some impact in New York. Working with New York media is a little different. I mean, there's so many messages and so many issues, and we're always competing for that kind of attention. It may be that we may need to do an exclusive with a reporter that has been very supportive of donations. I'm not quite sure right now. I think, I'm delighted that it's New York Presbyterian, because I think that, my colleagues out at Presbyterian have probably one of the strongest knowledge and pull. But we're going to have to really work this out. And I know Maggie and Sunshine and Tack will be ready to assist in that process, but it's going to have to be thought out very carefully so that we can, present it in a way that will pull them in.
Agreed.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mr. Green, is it?
Yeah.
Yes. When you said that the torch was in New York, was it in New York City or New York State?
It was in New York City, but we did.
George is the man to answer.
Yeah, sorry, Reg. Yeah, it was in New York City, but we also brought the torch to Buffalo, where we had a huge media reception there, and we had over 100 kids carrying the torch through the heart of Buffalo. And Rochester, we had a great reception there with the University of Rochester. But again, when we got to the Big Apple, it sort of we just weren't prepared to get the media attention that it deserved at that time.
Okay. It's just our totally, indifferent press. What can we say? No, but we'll see. Let's, as I said, circle back, and then I'll also, after we talk with Brian, circle back to the transplant programs themselves and get a sense for what they think is appropriate.
That sounds great. Maybe one of the things we may want to do is kind of circle back sometime early next week. Do you think that's a good time?
Sure.
Okay. So that we can then now get back to George and Reg on where we stand, at least at a preliminary basis. Okay. Does that work for you, George and Reg?
Yeah, absolutely.
Away next week.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody.
Julia, I can't make it next week, but that's okay. George knows all about it.
We'll probably won't need to do another teleconference. We can do some of this work by email, but there will definitely be a need to come together again at some point very soon.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Well,
have a wonderful day.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
That's me right there, Carmen.
And it has excellent picture afterwards.
So you're Carmen Sandy? Yeah. What good is it going to do me if you're going to have it in there?
What do you mean? What?
What good is it going to do me if you have it in there? It's not my
picture?
camera. Yeah. I want one for myself.
Oh, no, it comes out after.
We have to,
And then I send it to you. That's why you're going to learn how to use the emails again and all that.
I guess if I want to get on the team, I'll have to.
And it's not going to hurt.
We're going to light it though, right?
Yeah. We're going to light it.
right away.
So, what was I going to say? You see that bottom piece? What happened was, when we were on the road, somebody put it in the middle of the wheel because when it burns and we put it out, it's got a, and then somebody started the truck, and then crunch, we lose half the piece. It was like a sawed-off torch. And so we were walking with a sawed-off torch for about like 2 months. And one day when we were walking along the highway, an industrial arts teacher said, I think I can fix this. The moment he said this, on the side of the highway was this piece that he noticed, and he picked it up, and it just fit like it was meant to fit. Like, that's, I don't know what the bottom of that is, if it's the bottom of,
It's unbelievable.
But that's how it arrived to the Pope, though, by the way. So,
I'll call you back once my phone's on.
That's it. What a story. I'm so happy to see this.
Me
Well,
too.
get the.
I'm so excited.
I love that.
No,
That was
seriously, you don't
no,
know
the way
how
she
badly I've
said
been
it, because I know your story now. She goes, me too, you have no idea. Like, I'm alive,
I went
I'm
on
here.
the website on the weekend and I was just so
she's
touched by the whole
childlike,
thing.
like with her, because like, and that's like when you get the second lot, you turn childlike in your actions. Like
This is my second chance at life. I'm living life. I'm just starting to live life again.
Yeah.
And that's
Cool party tonight. What do you want?
think of skydiving.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You know what? It's funny you should say that because I was watching someone over. I was outside with my girlfriend having a coffee, and there was someone parachuting above us. There, Canada's Wonderland. Yeah. And it's like, I should try that. But I'm terrified. So, but I actually thought about it.
a little bit at the top.
Skydiving. That's what makes you. Yeah. Just makes you want to take chances. Well, not yet.
Let me show them. Let me show them.
Yeah,
It's still fresh.
See,
My Mercedes.
sorry to interrupt the story. I just want to educate them. Now, what we use is something called lamp oil.
yeah, that's what I was trying to smell it.
And so we got, no, not in here, outside, but we got a little bit that we just brought here. This is
The root of ginseng.
yeah. And this is our wick. Now it's got to be a fiber wick. And these are hard to, you have to look for them. Yeah. So this is the wick that's going to go inside. And this guy, among many things.
You have to bring that on stage, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you should light it up.
No, yeah, we do. We bring it indoors everywhere.
Yeah, you should light it up and bring it on stage.
And not to worry about the fire alarms, about the smoke, because it won't set off the fire alarms. It's after you blow it out. So we blow it out outside. So just a little bit.
So proud of him. Trying to take a picture.
To him, that's the best thing you put up.
George, move for a bit.
Oh, sorry.
Please, thank you. Trying to take a picture. It's so dark.
That's good. That's good.
Espresso. Espresso?
Yeah, she needs it. She needs to drive home. Okay. We took it.
You can just keep it over here until they're ready. You can hold it?
George, what's the
Yes.
normal body temperature? 37, right?
Yeah.
Or 38?
7, 6 and a half.
37. Why? What's wrong? Why are you?
Yes, please. Yes. Thank you.
What's wrong?
Who's sick?
Okay. I hate when these kids do that. It's my daughter. Ma, what's the normal body temperature?
Okay, do you know how to do this?
No.
Okay, I'll
do I have to press anything?
You have to press this. See this? Look, it's very easy.
Okay, go.
And this is filming as we speak.
Okay. Go.
So I can get it there, but okay. Okay, take a practice shot.
We can hold it together. Together?
Whoa.
Actually, these two, because they're the youngest.
Okay, everyone hold it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Everybody hold it.
And can you get the sign, like Il Lupo?
Nah. No, I don't need the lupo. What for? He has a lupo here.
And you got everybody?
Flash. You probably need
I think we don't have all night, eh?
Pat.
Smile. Smile.
I didn't hear the click. Here, let me do it, Pat.
Oh, I'm taking. I took like 20 of them.
Okay, wait.
She's making it
Okay, Pat, get in there. Get in there, Pat.
In the back.
It's getting hot here.
Okay. Okay. And I just want a nice close-up. Beautiful. Great shots. You guys are just great. You know what? You guys should come on the road with us when he's got time.
We can walk in these.
We'll walk high heels.
Imagine that.
Start with the knee from.
Okay, now watch this. One last remarkable thing. Okay, go ahead, Colin.
I think I lost your card.
Watch. Okay, go ahead. Watch. Nobody can do that. I'll bet you if I light it again, nobody here can do that.
I bet. With one shot.
I can't blow my birthday candle. This guy blew out a timer.
So
I guess that's why they leave me out of
I closed my windows and then I don't remember her giving it back to me.
Adri, how did it feel holding that torch? Did you hold it?
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
Okay.
It's gonna get cold. I'm gonna go have my coffee.
Stand. What a good feeling. You're fantastic.
You're
Give you a hug.
fantastic. I'm jealous.
No, I'm jealous.
I'm
because of what
jealous.
you're doing.
I'm jealous.
I want to
You better send me those pictures.
I will.
Yeah, me too. But I want them printed.
Yeah, print it in full living color.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Big living color.
Here you go. Thank you so much, Bella. I'm out. Thank you. Have a good night. Road manager.
Okay, so we're all here at McDonald's getting ready, training for our walk. We understand that McDonald's has a lot of good protein, sufficient protein for Khalid to do the 18-day walk across. And so, McDonald's, if you're listening, it would be good if you became our sponsor. Mr. Cohen, please, we'll stop off at every McDonald's along the way. From Ottawa to, there's McDonald's. There we go. Melissa's showing the McDonald's.
We're taping this. This is the.
Yes. Mr. Cohen, please, if you're watching this, it's Patricia, and she loves your food, and so does Melissa. And we will stop off at every McDonald's along the way from Ottawa to Toronto. And there's probably at least about 100 stores along the way. So we will be able to say that as a result of eating McDonald's, there we go, McDonald's, that, we're going to...
Thank you. I'll be back if it's not everything.
Through McDonald's, we can save a lot of lives. So thank you, Mr. Cohen. Hope you get this message.
Okay, let's watch.
Yeah, if you see a picture, Sam. There's a picture.
What we really want to do is jump out the window, but I don't know if it's not enough. Like I have some things.
In our first segment, we bring you the story of George Marcello's journey across Canada. For the last 250 days, George has been on the road telling Canadians about the shortage of organ donations and the vital need for a national donor registry.
Actually, today is day 252. Our family had to make a very courageous decision, you know, at a very tragic time when for me to have gotten that organ. And when I woke up after the surgery, what I wanted to do was acknowledge what they did, you know, and that's why 2 years later I put a knapsack on my back and walked from Toronto to Ottawa to say thank you. Yeah. And this year I'm walking 12,000 kilometers across Canada to say thank you and to help give that person on the waiting list a fighting chance to survive. London to meet the Queen.
Hello, it's 10:15 here in our studio in Vatican City. I'm Laura Angela Bagnetto. I'm sitting next to a man who has crossed one of the world's longest land masses on foot.
So able to meet another ardent supporter of organ donation, namely Pope John Paul II.
And the Torch of Life kicks off today in Wasilla. It's a 2-year campaign where students will pass the torch from Alaska all the way to Argentina.
Noah, please light the Torch of Life. There we go.
A Palestinian boy dies in Rambam Hospital, and his parents decide to donate his organs. 6 Israelis will receive the heart, kidneys, lungs, and liver of little Ahmed.
Everybody say sickle cell.
Sickle cell. Tree of life is just over there.
And this tree is planted in honor of those who give. And so even though we may die, and we're all going to die sometime, make sure you registered so that organs and parts of our bodies can be used to give life.
My son Christopher Cutler passed away 2 years ago tomorrow, February 18th, at Sick Kids. He died from CPVT. It was undiagnosed, didn't know he had it. We donated his organs. He saved 4 people's lives, gave 2 young teenagers eyesight, and he's in 16 different people with his bone donations so far to date.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for who you are. We thank you that you're the God of creation and that you're the God of the seasons. And through difficult times and rough times, even in the natural world, through the seasons, we know that you're there. And we're glad, oh God, that you are with us through the seasons of our lives. And some of those seasons are very painful and very, very difficult, and at times end in tragedy, at times end in death. You're with us at all times. And for this particular organization, Lord, they're doing a wonderful thing. I thank you for this hospital that provides special care. And I pray, oh God, for the technicians and the students, the doctors, and all who are doing research, that you would give them your help and your wisdom to find new resolve to this terrible disease. Lord, for those who are suffering right now, we pray that by your Spirit you would comfort them. For those who have gone through the valley of death, and through that death experience have offered life and help to others, we give you thanks for those. And now, God, for each person who is here, I thank you for each one, and I thank you that you give us opportunities to honor you in life and in death. Bless us, we pray, for it's in your name. Amen.